Story 1. I just don't feel like it. I've stopped making up reasons. As I get older, people can take that however they wish. Story 2. Home is cozy. Not being at home always requires interacting with other people and driving in difficult traffic. In the end, I am always thinking about how long it will be before I can get back home again. Story 3. I dislike being around people who ask, "So, what have you been up to?" I often find myself without anything to say, which is quite embarrassing, so I tend to avoid such interactions altogether. Additionally, I struggle with procrastination. I often tell myself, after this video or episode, I will go for one more hour. But before I know it, it's 2 a.m., and I realize I'm not going anywhere. Furthermore, I can be quite antisocial when I go out, especially when everyone is on their phones. I often think, I could have just stayed home if we're all just going to scroll on our phones. Story 4. At the age of 59, the correct answer is, nah, I'm really not feeling it. But thanks for thinking of me. Then I turn off my phone, because I had obviously forgotten to do so earlier. I draw the curtains and go back to petting my cats and reading my books. Story 5. My number one reason to stay in the house is probably to avoid getting paint all over my clothes like that table. Yikes. Story 6. If I can avoid putting it on, I do. Conversely, there is no canceling once it is on. We are going somewhere to justify my efforts. Story 7. My house is where my dog, things, wife, shop, and snacks I like are. Story 8. I already committed to the idea of staying home in my sweatpants 2 days ago. Honestly, that plan sounds much better than pretending to have fun for 3 hours. Story 9. I don't drive. There isn't a bus line in my area, and rideshare services are expensive. So unless a friend is going and I can catch a ride, I am staying put. Fortunately, I can get a lot of my necessities delivered. Story 10. If I am paying $1,800 a month for rent, I am getting the most out of it. I am watching television, playing games, and cleaning. Story 11. At the end of the week, I feel exhausted, especially if I have traveled late in the week. Last week, I left on Monday afternoon and did not get home until early Friday morning at 1 a.m. During those weeks, I prefer to stay at home all weekend, spend time in the garden, watch television, read a book and the newspaper, attend mass, and perhaps grill some burgers or steak on Sunday. It makes me happy. Story 12. I enjoy my own company. Groceries are delivered, and laundry is picked up. Honestly, I'm tired of being the only non-drinker in social situations. When I drank, I loved to socialize. After I had to quit due to a health issue, I realized how dull conversations can be. People often have nothing interesting to say without alcohol. I'm happy to stay home. Story 13. My mental health is more important. I am tired and need to have the energy to go to work tomorrow and not be unpleasant to everyone there. So I am not going to the event. Story 14. Cost versus benefit including time. Is the experience worth the money, getting home late, or not doing something else? Story 15. Reason or excuse. I don't even need a reason. I'm just an introvert. However, I have mastered excuses. Story 16. Because I don't want to put any effort into my appearance. It takes a special occasion or work to get me into something other than sweatpants, leggings, a hoodie, and slippers. Story 17. It's too crowded outside. I work from home, interacting with people all day through video calls and meetings. I need some time to decompress and would prefer to be with my cats where I feel comfortable and happy. Story 18. I told my wife that, up to this point in my life, this house is the most expensive thing I have ever bought. So why wouldn't I want to spend all my time in it? Story 19. People. It's always been about people. They can be daunting and a threat to my self-esteem and self-worth. Story 20. I have been in customer service for 31 years. I just don't want to see anyone outside of my husband and son. Story 21. As Jim Gaffigan said about not leaving the house to take his neighbor something, I would have to put on pants. Story 22. It's very expensive to step out of my front door nowadays. I swear, I spend at least $100 if I go out to run errands. Story 23. It ruins mental well-being. Everyone is constantly pushing their agendas and opinions on you. Staying home and being at peace with family is best. Story 24. Chronic fatigue syndrome often prevents me from functioning, and when I do push myself, I experience a crash that can affect me for weeks or even months. Additionally, I am dealing with mental illness and autism. Story 25. I'm tired, boss. Tired of being on the road, lonely as a sparrow in the rain. Tired of never having a buddy to be with, to tell me where we are going, where we are coming from, or why. Mostly, I'm tired of people being unkind to each other. I'm tired of all the pain I feel and hear in the world every day. There's too much of it. It's like pieces of glass in my head all the time. Can you understand? Story 26. Although I am good with people and not shy, I find them extremely draining. Takes me days to recharge after any social interactions. Story 27. I have always been somewhat of an outsider at social gatherings. This has often made me anxious, so I prefer not to interact with most people. I also struggle to understand how some individuals fail to grasp simple concepts. Story 28. I am at an age where I have no obligations to care, so if I do not want to do something, I simply do not do it. No explanation is required. Story 29. People annoy me. Where there are people, there is going to be annoyance. It's not me. It's you. Just kidding, but not. Story 30. I don't want to go because there are people there. There are also people at my house, but I like them. Story 31. I am disabled and struggling financially. It would be physically exhausting for me, and I would not gain any enjoyment or satisfaction from it. Story 32. My personality is introverted. Being out and about can be overstimulating and exhausting. I love peace and quiet. Story 33. I don't want to. I shouldn't have to give anyone any other reason than that. If I do, I'm surrounded by the wrong people. Story 34. My wife and I enjoy cooking and watching movies while snuggling with our dog. It often takes a wedding or a funeral to get us out of the house, and we tend to prefer the funeral. Story 35. No parking. I appreciate all my friends who live in the city or want to visit, but I'm not willing to pay over $50 for a rideshare or drive around for an hour searching for a parking space. Story 36. The vast majority of people lack intellectual curiosity and cannot compete with an engaging documentary or practicing Bach on the cello. I acknowledge my elitist perspective, but I believe in the value of being more interesting. Story 37. I would prefer to stay at home and self-isolate. People can be bothersome, annoying, and selfish. Additionally, I become very agitated and nervous and tend to sweat a lot. Story 38. I have a golden excuse. Sorry, but I work the night shift, so I just can't make it. This works for any time of day. Evening activity? I'll be at work. Daytime activity? I'll have to be sleeping. Story 39. I went to the event that I thought of. I ended up co-piloting, lobbying, working as a locksmith, not capturing the flag, engaging in cloud mining, meeting with magicians, attending school for tax liens, dealing at a casino, and taking metal vocal lessons. Story 40. I don't feel like going. If it's a social event, this feeling often hits the moment I start putting on my coat. I often realize that I am heading to something I do not really want to attend. In the past, I used to see it as an obligation, but these days I view it as an opportunity to choose to do other things. Story 41. I would rather spend time with my children. They are young and believe I am the coolest person in the world. One day, they will likely think I'm uncool and may not want to spend time with me anymore, so I am not wasting any of that time. Story 42. My house has everything I need. It is my place of peace. The only reason I go out is to be with people. Story 43. I read the room more closely these days. I know family members who talk to me about others. They will talk to others about me. I have a case of indifference. Story 44. I don't attend events I don't want to, especially when they involve family. I have missed family functions like funerals, weddings, baptisms, communions, birthdays, and holidays. My whole family thinks I am unkind. They are always judging me and looking down on me. I don't care. They do not pay my bills, and they were never there for me. Story 45. My dad always said he had to floss his cat. It always confused everyone, and he would leave it at that, offering no further explanation. Story 46. I don't feel like it. I'm not sorry if that's not good enough for anyone who may have a problem with it, but I have very little free time and even less time to myself. I often just say thanks, but no thanks when I am invited or asked to participate. Story 47. Because I am 61 and have attended numerous events, most of which were not worth the effort I put in to get dressed up. Story 48. As I get older, I find myself less inclined to deal with the entire process of getting ready, traveling, and paying. Even though I know I will have fun, I could have chosen to do something easier and more relaxing at home. Story 49. Reason I give: I am really busy with something. Real reason: I do not want to go and would rather stay home. Story 50. I can honestly say that I have a prior commitment. The part one don't mention is that when I feel overwhelmed and need to stay home, that commitment is to my own sanity. Story 51. If there is something outside the house, of course, unless it is an emergency, it can proceed without me. Story 52. Rough work week and overdid it in the gym the day before. I will stay at home for the day and do nothing but rest, recover, and re-energize. Story 53. I don't like any type of weather. I don't like heat, wind, cold, or rain. I prefer my climate-controlled house and will gladly pay extra to stay comfortable. Story 54. I am paying for my house, so I intend to use it fully. This includes my bed, my television, and my bathroom as well. Recharging my energy requires me to be at home. I was not home earlier, and I need to recharge. I am busy. Story 55. We moved to this area about a year ago. I struggle to leave my house, and it takes significant effort to do so. Usually, after I leave the house, I'm able to smile and chat for about 30 minutes. I have never lived around such an unfriendly group of people. Knowing that less than 5% of the people will make eye contact, I would rather avoid the snubs. I do curbside pickup for my groceries. That eliminates about 30 to 50 people I don't have to see or interact with if I go inside. Additionally, it saves me a lot of money by preventing impulse shopping. So, to answer the question, I'm a hermit and the people out there aren't nice. Story 56. If I go to an event and there are people I know, I probably won't recognize them. I have difficulty recognizing faces, which leads to many awkward moments. If I see someone I recognize, I will greet them and maybe chat for a minute before wandering around, trying to figure out what I'm supposed to do. I most likely won't approach anyone I don't know and will probably try to interact with any pets that are there. Story 57. I pay too much for my place to not be there extra time. If I want to do something, I should already be out. Otherwise, it's just not happening. Story 58. I have to take my oldest child to the dentist, orthodontist, psychiatrist, medical doctor, and eye doctor. I have between 3 to 5 appointments a month for them. Story 59. Depression, my health, and sometimes seeing what is happening in this country make me a little scared to be around people. Story 60. If I don't have much energy, then I'm not pushing myself to suffer later. Also, my dogs. Story 61. Cat is here, along with my PlayStation, books, bed, and food. I may go out to get something to eat. Sometimes my boyfriend is here when he's not working, and I don't have to wear uncomfortable clothes, meaning anything I don't feel like wearing. Story 62. I will spend more time driving to and from the event than I will actually spend at the event, and the traffic is really stressful. Most of my extended family lives about 2 hours away in a major city. I try to skip most events that aren't once-in-a-lifetime occasions like weddings because that results in 4 hours of driving, 2 of which are in heavy traffic while I am within 1 hour of where they live. I actually have to take antacids for the part of the drive close to the city because otherwise, I get so tense that it affects my stomach. I live in a small city that is essentially just a small town surrounded by woods and farms, so I am not used to the busy city highways, and I do not really want to be because I dislike driving there. Story 63. Not enough energy or time. I know there is enough time logically, but with work, It always feels like I am counting down to the next workday. Story 64. It's usually related to my ill health. It's unpredictable. There are many days when I'm just staying home. Story 65. Anxiety. I would rather stay in the comfort of my home than risk unwarranted thoughts of irrelevant events, like people looking at my groceries, by going out. I mean, there are other comfort zones like work, where I am in a familiar environment, but nothing beats home alone. Story 66. Agoraphobia, social anxiety, and autism all affect me simultaneously. I try to push through if it is an obligation, but if it is optional, I tend to avoid it. Story 67. Staying home feels overwhelming. Planning to leave the house is the most challenging task. Preparing to go out is my top priority. Story 68. My dog has barking separation anxiety and canine dementia. So if I can't take him, I need to find a sitter that I pay for. I will do that. However, if I don't feel the need to go out or can't take the dog with me, I stay home, and the two of us enjoy napping in front of the television. Story 69. There is no try, only do. I simply do what I want. I spend over 60 hours a week at work. My home is my sanctuary, my recovery zone. Story 70. I have irritable bowel syndrome, and my friends know. Unfortunately, I usually experience a flare-up whenever I have to go somewhere I don't want to be. Story 71. I think it's the buildup of pressure. I'm shy and introverted, so it's a little draining on a mental level. I have attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, so figuring out what to wear and being on time is not my strength. I have gained weight, so I am self-conscious. I don't mind doing things outside of the house, but I want to go on my own terms. Story 72. I like my house. I miss my cats, dog, and chickens when I leave, and I like to believe they miss me too. I don't have to wear a bra at home, and I can wear my comfy clothes. There's no one I don't want to deal with. I'm going out less these days. Story 73. I love my house. It is also a safe haven for loved ones to come home if necessary. I cannot move until my partner retires. Story 74. I am tired. It doesn't matter if I slept for 5 hours or 10 hours the night before. I am always tired. I only go out if it is absolutely necessary. Story 75. I just finished the day. It seems this question needs a good answer, and it appears that Pantone is the preferred choice. However, I still feel stuck. When I need to, I also consider going out to take care of my things. Story 76. Exhaustion. If I do not have the energy to go out, I will not have it later to return. A tired person is not enjoyable to be around. Story 77. I work so I can spend 2 days on the weekend enjoying my house and my large backyard. I'm staying in. Story 78. I work in retail alone. I'm constantly interacting with customers on my feet, moving, lifting, squatting, pulling, pushing, explaining, and focusing, with beeping sounds and honking around me, along with music in my ears for hours on end. I want silence and no one talking at me whenever I can. Story 79. I don't feel like sitting around the same people doing the same old things. I genuinely feel this way, but I just say I'm not feeling well. Story 80. I am a shopaholic and food critic who doesn't have the money to indulge in either due to inflation, so I only leave the house when necessary. Story 81. Because once I'm home, I have a hard time leaving. I'll spend the day scrubbing cabinets, steaming my carpets, or watching television with my dogs before I spend a lot of time, money, and fuel to see people and engage in small talk that no one actually cares about. Story 82. Just needing some downtime. Sometimes you need that peace and quiet to recharge, especially after a busy week. There is something comforting about being home. Story 83. Many times, it's easier for me not to drink when I stay at home since I enjoy drinking when I socialize. Additionally, I'm getting older and would prefer to sleep. Story 84. My body only causes me minor pain when I am at home on the couch. However, if I leave, the chance of experiencing significant pain is high. Story 85. I have 6 birds and my female bird is sitting on eggs. I would prefer to be at home with my cat in bed. Story 86. Getting around is difficult. I have low vision, I am tired of paying for rideshares, and the public transportation here is inadequate. Story 87. It's nearly impossible to drink beer outside your home without significant disposable income. You can't even drive with a buzz anymore. Tipping has become excessive. I will not tip unless you bring me food or make something truly delicious, but not just for spinning a tablet. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.